I have a guest, Yay, who's awesome and fabulous and has some really great stuff to share with you this evening. But I'm just gonna say, like, we all need to just get in there and get involved. And this is great because our conversation goes right into this. But there are so many ways to be involved and be engaged and active. And now I'm gonna kick it over to my buddy. Will you please introduce yourself, guest?
You can hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Awesome.
All right, perfect. My name's Dr. Nkume Sobe Jr. You want me to just go and tell you about
You can
the movement?
just tell us a little bit about yourself, and then we'll work into the conversation.
Okay, perfect. I'm a doctor of physical therapy down here in Miami, Florida, the district of Mrs. Debbie Wasserman Schultz. So this conversation is going to be very interesting because this is my home turf. So we're real passionate about this down here.
Awesome. This is also just to talk about this. This is very cool for me because this is also one of my co-admin from the Black Burner Coalition and on Facebook, and we've actually never chatted before, so this is pretty awesome. So we were in we were having a conversation on the thread, I think, about just next steps, what's going on, because Florida was a loss. And I know everyone's just like, what's going on? What can we do? And we have this issue, right? For those of us who've already voted in earlier states, we're kind of like, okay, now what? Like, what do we do now? And so we were talking about kind of next steps, like what's going on next in the progressive movement. And then you were saying that you're in Tim's district, right? And there's a game plan. People are engaged and doing stuff. And so I will let you talk for a little bit, and I'll mix and mingle.
All right, well, yeah, we've been working on this for a while, a lot of people, and what the movement is called is a brand new Congress. All right, so we all know that Bernie needs a Bernie Congress because the main argument against him is, I like him, but how can he get things done, right? So people think of Congress and look at Congress like this unchangeable entity, not realizing that House of Representatives, for example, only have 2-year terms.
Mm-hmm.
So all we need to do is replicate the same exact strategy that we used to propel Bernie to where he is now, into progressive candidates nationwide. And those strategies being donate, phone bank, register voters, canvass.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a numbers guy, and this really doesn't take much.
Okay.
Less than 1% of the country has donated just $27 a couple times to equate to a $150 million juggernaut campaign. And that's why Bernie's able to do as good as he's doing right now. 88% of Congress is up for re-election this year, and people don't know that. Meanwhile, Congress has 15% approval rating, which means everybody hates them. But at the same time, only 10% of people vote in their congressional elections. I've spoken with hundreds of people down here in Florida, and 99% of the people don't know that our congressional election to oust Debbie Wasserman Schultz is August 30th.
Okay.
So Tim Canova, that's where this wraps up. Tim Canova is our prototype for a brand new Congress. And you can tell that our strategy is working, and everything that Tim is doing is amazing because, one, they've blocked us from the van the same way that they did with Bernie in the beginning.
Right.
2, Barack Obama himself just came out to endorse Debbie Wasserman Schultz. So you can tell that they're intimidated by Tim Canova when this guy's only been running for just a couple months.
Right.
So we can apply this same strategy to all the superdelegates, especially those that aren't listening to their constituents and backing Hillary when they should be backing Bernie. And again, this doesn't take much. The only reason that these people are still in Congress because they literally never have challengers, ever.
Right.
And we can include ourselves in the problem for that, because which one of us has ever donated, phone banked, registered voters, or canvassed for a congressional progressive candidate? None of us have. So we need to channel that same strategy that's propelled Bernie into these candidates. My passion has always been voter turnout for years now. And Bernie's won every single state that's had a record turnout. He even won Arizona the day of, 52-48. So the key to all of this movement of a brand new Congress is replicating all of those same strategies that we've given into Bernie, increase voter turnout, and sweep the country with progressive candidates.
Okay, so like this is awesome because I know several of us keep having these conversations, and it's just really great that this is being worked on. So in terms of Tim's campaign, Debbie hasn't really ever been primaried before, has she?
No, she has not, and that's exactly what I'm talking about. She's never had a serious contender.
So like what's the makeup, like what is it looking like so far, like in the district? I mean, like you said, which I think to much of our chagrin, President Barack Obama, you know, going out of his way to endorse her, especially endorsing her in March when the election is not until August.
Until August, exactly.
Like when you told me that yesterday, you're like, oh yeah, we know this weekend, we got them on the ropes.
We're happy about that. We're happy that's exactly what we want to see. We look at that as blood in the water.
Yeah. Like, I mean, it just, I don't know. Like, so what is, like, when you're talking to people and stuff, so, like, what is the thought about, you know, her and having him as a challenger? Like, what is it looking like just out there doing the outreach and stuff like that? Like, how is that working? Like, how are you seeing that play out so far?
It's actually, since she's so hated and her name is so well known, it's actually going very well. Because people, especially Bernie people, even Hillary people, whoever, Republicans, they hear Debbie Wasserman Schultz, they know that she's corrupt. We tell them about Tim Canova, and they're like, all right, let's get on board. Or they'll at least go to his website, learn about him, and see that he's really an amazing guy. You know, I met him just a couple of days after he even announced. And, man, this guy's been putting his all into it. And this is a really classic, amazing guy. But there's so many people just like him all across the country, even maybe you, Anoa, that they would want to run for Congress or run for some of these candidacies. Mm-hmm. They know that they can't because they don't have the money.
Right.
And that was Bernie's predicament. But what happened? We all stepped up. We all contributed those $27, and now look at them. So if we do that same kind of strategy and help out progressive candidates across the country, we can do this. It's never been done. That's the thing. This has never been done.
Okay, so what is the group looking like, right? So you're obviously, like, this is something, because you work, obviously, and this is something you're doing. I think I tweeted out earlier, like, you know, we're not privileged because, you know, we all have our day jobs, and then we have this, which is a whole nother job on top of it. And your wife is like super active.
Yeah, she is.
As well, right? So it's like a family affair.
Yeah.
What is like the makeup of the group that you're working with? Is it just like people locally in Florida for right now? Or are you networking with other people elsewhere? Like, what is it looking like?
It's a little bit of everything. You know, you have a large part of the people that are helping out Tim, for example, are people that have completely set their entire work job aside.
Wow.
And they've completely put their work in a semi-retirement and are giving their all into Bernie first and now into Tim, you know, wholeheartedly. So there's people that are doing 1,000,000 times more than, you know, I'm doing or my wife is doing.
Right.
And, you know, complete hats off to them. And that's what this is going to take. That's what the revolution is going to take. It's going to take sacrifice. You know, some people sacrifice our time, some people sacrifice our money, but we all have to collectively put in to dominate.
Right. So okay, yeah, Debbie sucks. Debbie's garbage. But tell us about Tim, right? Because Tim excites everyone because Debbie sucks and because he seems so awesome. But tell me a little bit about Tim. Like, I got a chance to look a little bit at his website yesterday, and he accepted my Facebook friend request. Yay!
Yeah.
But like, tell us a little bit about Tim, like about the platform, like where he's at, like what's he talking about, and.
I mean, Tim right now, he's a law professor.
Okay.
And he's worked with Bernie. He was actually invited to work with Bernie years and years ago. You know, so he's been an activist for decades. You know, I mean, from most recently against the TPP to against the bailouts, he was out there championing, knowing exactly what's going to happen with the big banks failing, decades ago because he's an economist at the same time. You know, you're speaking to him. He's a law professor. You know, he didn't expect to be running for Congress, but the same thing as Bernie, he's looking around and seeing nobody stepping up. You know, at some point you got to realize that the person that you're looking for to step up is you. You know, and I see that that's exactly, you know, what Tim is doing right now. He never expected to be in this position, but he's there. He's taking it all on his shoulders. You know, I mean, you got Barack Obama against him. I know he never would have seen that coming, you know, 2-3 months ago. And so he's taking it in stride. He's really an amazing guy. You know, you should write him on Facebook. He's a real down to earth, cool guy.
I definitely am. I'm going to do that because you know, I mean, Miami's kind of far from Atlanta, but at the same time, I mean, I'm really inspired and motivated because Debbie is someone that we're just like, eh. And it's not that, and like, don't get me wrong for everyone who's watching, it's not that we would take just anybody. I mean, Tim is a good candidate. You know, when you look at his platform, he's Bernie-esque, right? You know, talking about getting rid of big money, focusing on working families. Like, he's really talking about the issues that are affecting the community. I mean, just one of the big glaring, you know, recent issues with Debbie is her support for predatory lenders. I mean, and so for President Obama to in his statement to reference how progressive she's been and how she's a fighter for middle class and working families, it's just like a smack in the face. Like, it's like you guys are being handed like Christmas cookies or something like.
No, I mean, now it's 100% obvious. Yeah. Like, I appreciated that. I appreciated Barack Obama doing that. I smiled when I read that because now we know where we are. Now,
as soon as I saw it, I said it to you. I said, so what do you think about this? You were like, yeah, okay, we're ready.
I was excited. Like, this is great news. You know, now we know that you're there and we're here. Period. You know, so they've cast themselves in that corner, and they're gonna stay there. We all know that he's not on our side. We can just say that bluntly. He's not on our side. You know, I mean, Debbie Wasserman Schultz of all people, really. So we know where we are. We know where we stand. You know.
In any of your work, I'm not really sure demographically like how the breakdown is, but in any of your work, any of your outreach and stuff, do you run into that problem though that, you know, Bernie and now possibly Tim is against, you know, POTUS? That do you see that as being an issue? Because I know people like, oh my God, Bernie objects to Obama or whatever, and with Obama, you know, endorsing Debbie, do you see that as like a barrier, or does that even matter to people? Is it just the fact that she's just so awful?
The people that are not involved in politics are not going to know what Debbie Wasserman Schultz has and has not done. So there's so many Obama lovers that are ride or die. You know, if he says jump, you know, they're just saying how high. You know, so basically Debbie, they're all about her, and that's why they did this. I mean, it's a tactical strategy. They want all of Obama's supporters to go straight to Debbie Wasserman Schultz and try to win it. It's very early, so you can tell that they're very scared, which I appreciate. We all appreciate that, but the path that Tim is going to go on, we're big on educating. If you see just that 10% voter turnout in congressional elections, again, for us in Florida is August 30th, it's a very, very small number of people.
Right.
So if we can educate enough people, both one, about that date and the significance of that date to bring about a brand new Congress, and two, what Debbie Wasserman Schultz has done, who she is, and what Tim Canova can bring to the table in getting us this Bernie Congress, just that alone will bring out a lot of working people, a lot of young people to vote for the first time in a congressional election. I mean, I can put myself into that boat. I've never voted in a congressional election. And even if you look online, it's not that easy to find. I mean, you need to search, to find your state's congressional election. And I've, spoken with friends, family, far and wide all across the country, and nobody knows. They just know the general and the primary. They don't know that,
right.
Thrown in there somewhere is the congressional election. So the more that word gets out, for something very simple like the other day on Sunday, the hashtag Bernie made me white swept all of Twitter, swept all of Facebook. Something like a brand new Congress, just that idea that Congress can change if we end up stepping to the plate, then that will invigorate and galvanize all of our supporters even that much more.
I think we should definitely talk with everybody about getting brand new Congress trending. I mean, because that's something regardless that needs to happen, right? Well, because we've already experienced the last several years of nonsense.
Right.
I mean, and to get people actually in those seats, because there's so many. Look at the list of the Bernie-crats, right? There's so many great people all across the country running at so many different levels. I've even seen people going up from our Black Burner ranks to either become delegates or run for office themselves. So there's like so much going on, and we definitely need to keep holding out examples. Like, I'm so happy you came to talk with me, because one of the things I've been talking with everyone about is local action, right? And even though Tim is a unique candidate in a way that he's so important to your district, but he's so important to the country as well. And I know people are asking all over the place, like, how can we help? What can we do? Yeah. So, anything that can be done, blast, whatever, please let us know so we can share it, because Tim is important because, one, we removed Debbie, but two, like, what you guys are doing is a model that could be, I mean, I guess that's also the point, right? Is a model to then have and replicate elsewhere. Absolutely. Because we have people running we have Cori Bush running for senator in Missouri. I mean, there are so many people all over the place running. Deron Black is running. Oh, oops, I don't think he announced yet. Never mind. But thank you so much. I really appreciate you coming and chatting me. I probably kept you about 20 minutes so already. We definitely need to keep talking or whatever. This is great. I appreciate it so much.
And the website will be launching in a couple days.
Okay.
Yeah. So this is still just the beginning.
Okay. Well, make sure to give it to me. Definitely we'll get it up and get it out, because this is exciting. And I think we dropped a link in our chat, in our live chat, for Tim's website, because I know people are asking about Tim and how to donate and how to get involved. So I'll be looking for that website. Thank you.
Right. Tim is the first. Many more to come.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
All right. Thank you.
Appreciate it. Have a good evening.
Later. Good night.
Bye.
Bye.
Awesomeness. Like, see,